How to install Trilium notes on Proxmox 2025 edition. I do one of these like once a year, right? Because there's changes to Trilium notes, so it's that good. I gotta do a video every once in a while just to let you know how to reinstall it. The process hasn't changed, the application's just gotten better. But what is Trillium Notes? Easier to show than tell. Trillium Notes is a self-hosted note-taking application. So before me is Trillium Notes, and let's go ahead and let's get logged in here. I'm gonna have to be careful. So on the right, you can see my Trilium notes, and you can see the various routes I've set up. Let's explore Trilium demo. And the cool thing about Trilium is that it actually provides a bunch of different stuff that you can do. You can see you have an inbox with like a calendar. You have folders you can separate stuff into. You can have actual PDFs nested in there. You can format stuff with different examples. You can do math. Trillium Notes is basically Obsidian Notes, but you are in a lot more control of it. It's self-hosted. It integrates Markdown. It's very lightweight, and it runs on basically everything. All right, it can run on Docker. It can run on Linux containers. It can run on your mom's computer. Right there is a good application. In this video, we'll be walking through getting Trillium notes installed on Proxmox. It stopped development for a while, but it's been brought back to life by the community. And so I figure someone from the community should show you how to install it. You know, I'm not smart enough to actually get in there and start developing it myself, but I can show you how to get it running and how to use it. You know, that'll be my little contribution there. Now let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's go ahead and get started here. In the background, I have my Proxmox environment. And if we spread this out, you actually see I actually have a couple instances of Trillium notes running. I have one called Notes, one called Notes Old. That is like an older version of the server I spun up before it got before development started again. And development has recently had some major updates for the third time recently. So we're going to walk through very quickly getting it spun up. Unlike other services I teach you how to spun up, this is not going to be a Linux. This is not going to be a Docker based install. So yeah. Let's go ahead and spin up a fresh Trillium instance. You don't need many resources to run Trillium notes. Most of the time I run it on less than 500 megabytes of RAM because it doesn't support multi-user in the first place. So yeah, let's call this notes test. We'll just give it a password and a standard password. We'll go ahead and launch this as a standard Debian 12 template. We'll give this 32 gigs of SSD storage. We'll give this, honestly, you don't need many resources. You can give this 2 threads, which is equivalent to 1 core and 1 gig of RAM. And of course, you want to give swap as much as you actually give it physical RAM. Standard network, DHCP. So DNS is going to be test.local. DNS server is going to be a local machine. And we click finish to get it spun up. Not quite done yet. We still have to do some basic updates and some standard utilities. Our container should now be spun up. If it is, you can log in and do a quick apt-get update-y and apt-get upgrade-y. We want to do that before we install some needed dependencies. Now that our system is updated, we have to install some needed utilities. So we're going to install wget, git, sudo, and curl. Now that our system is updated, we can install some needed utilities. There's some maintenance stuff. The main one you do need to make sure is installed is wget or curl, sudo, and git. I'll let that run for a few more minutes. Ranger and htop were just my own personal maintenance tools. Ranger for browsing through files and htop for managing processes a little bit easier. Everything should now be installed. From there, we have to download the newest version of Trillium Notes. How do we do that? First, we have to go to the Trillium Notes GitHub page. We could do that by going to Google, typing in Trillium Notes GitHub. We click the first link, Trillium Notes. We click releases, and then you want to look through the Trillium Notes releases. The one we're interested in is the x64 tarball zip at the very top. Then we just go back to our container. In our container, we can do a quick wget. Then we paste the link we just got, and there we go. We should now have a Trillium Notes zip. And let's clear our screen. Now we do an ls. You can see we have one file inside of our root folder. That's Trillium Notes server. We're going to do a tar-xvf. So tar extract verbose force / Trillium Notes. We just give that a few minutes for it to extract. We can verify the extraction is done by doing another ls. And we'll then have a file and a folder. Now, if we were to cd into that Trillium Notes folder, so let's do a cd / Trillium Notes, and then we were to list the contents, you'd see we now have a Trillium.sh file. Let's run Trillium.sh, and that starts the Trillium Notes server. Let's move that to the background for now. Let's run a quick IP address. This is at 1155. So then if we were to go to that IP, you can see we now have the new setup screen for Trillium Notes. But wait, we're not done. We don't just want to manually start it. We actually want it to be a service. So let's get that taken care of first before we set up our first user. We go back to our Linux container or virtual machine for Trillium Notes, and we clear the screen. We then stop the Trilium server. After that, we have to move all the packages and dependencies for the server over to a new folder. So let's make a quick directory called opt Trilium. And then we're gonna copy the contents of this folder to opt Trilium. Let's try that again. We'll do a cp-r to copy everything. Now if we were to do ls/opt but also /opt Trilium, you'll see that these folders match each other. We now have all our packages in opt Trilium. We then have to create a Trilium service file. Doing that is pretty straightforward. The easiest way to make a Trilium service file is just to copy it from the GitHub. I'm going to include links to this at the bottom of this video, but scroll down to the portion for the server installation and just copy this unit file. Then you want to create a new file called etc systemd system trillium.service, and then paste the contents of that unit file. We're going to set the user that's going to run this to root. The group is root. This is inside of an unprivileged container, so if someone gained access to it, hopefully they wouldn't be able to do too much, but we'll see. Or just don't expose this publicly to the internet. We're then gonna exec start is opt Trilium. Working directory is opt Trilium. You then clear your screen and do a systemctl daemon reload. After you've created your Trilium file, you'll then do a systemctl daemon reload to get it added. And then you should then be able to do a systemctl enable Trilium and then start the service. And you can verify it's running by running a quick status. Now we were to go back to this page and refresh. You can see that it's running. And then we can simply walk through the process of creating a new user. So let's wait a few minutes here. And then of course you want to set your password for your new Trillium Notes server. And then you just log in with the new password you made. And look at that. You've got it running like expected. And the cool thing about the new version of Trillium is it lets you create new note types. Let's see if it'll let me do this here. So one of the cool features of the new version of Trilium is that it now lets you integrate OpenAI, meaning you can generate an API key and now have your notes be AI backed or maybe AI generated. There's cool stuff you can do with this, right? And that's it, boys. That's how you get Trillium Notes installed. Pretty straightforward setup there. You know, you just download the executable and its required files. You copy them to the right folder, and then you make your unit service file. All standard stuff. The main advantage here of setting it up using this way instead of Docker is that it makes updating it as simple as downloading the newest server binary, extracting it, and dropping it in the same location. Right? You could also just spin it up in Docker, but hey, we're mixing and matching. I just did a Docker video. I don't want to set everything up in Docker. I can. There's benefits to it. I don't want to. Your skills get dull, boys. All right? It's like doing reps. I'm doing mental reps. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe to get more. Otherwise, peace.